Derivatives trading involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results.
So stressful when the world's on fire. Good God. I can't look at this, guys. Like, my strategy is you buy it and you hope that you gotta get spotted. Yeah, but we all think you're crazy. You don't fight this. No way. The markets are freaking out and you don't think that anything is wrong? Come back tomorrow and I'll lose it all. Should be fun.
Good morning, everybody. It is the 22nd, and I'm not feeling very good at the moment. So, let's go to the charts here. All right, so equity indexes. So on Friday, well, Friday ended up being a pretty okay day. Of course, up here is like the all-time high, right? And, you know, and we've been on a downturn, and Friday was looking okay, and now in the overnight action and here on Monday, we have pushed lower. I want to just note that almost all of the analysts over the past 2 weeks have kind of come out and said, like, we're likely to have some sort of a pullback. Like, the sentiment has definitely changed. So, oh, I've got the right date, finally. The robots are on. Thank you. So, whenever I see everybody kind of turn one way on like sentiment, I'm always like a little bit weary about it. But there's a pretty solid reason for us to be moving down, you know, at least in the short term. So that's what that is. Now, what has been one of the key drivers? The treasuries yields increasing, treasuries getting hit hard. Now, this morning here off of the around the open, or recently, we've kind of moved back up a little bit. So maybe there's some hope for equities today because of that. And you can see that although we've been steepening, that has flattened out quite a bit. So not quite as steep. Oh, we need to roll over the oil. Let's roll over oil. Roll over, roll over. Overall in oil, I would say it doesn't look like there's been too much news over the weekend on this, although there are still some positive analyst forecasts out there, like Goldman Sachs saying we're going to be like at 75. So oil still looks good. Now, kind of gets a little more interesting when we come over to gold. So on Friday, gold did do well. And here again, it was like below 1800 was kind of like whoosh. And a lot of technical trading down in here. And now it's coming back above that 1800 level. So that looks good. And silver, that's a little bit more sideways, but silver looks really good too. And if silver could just get above that 28, you know, it'll take a few days. But if we could get above 28 this week, well, that would just be amazing. Hold on. And then we got copper, which, I mean, what can you say about copper? Copper just always looks great, right? Copper always looks great. That is the one. That is the market to be in, I think. Why am I not trading? I don't know. We should think about that, what we can do there into copper. And the dollar's still looking pretty weak here. Yeah, well, let's zoom out so we can see it here. So this is not quite as low as it was on Thursday, but, you know, it's come back down over the weekend, and it's looking pretty weak in the dollar, so. Yeah, there you go. It's no coincidence that stocks hesitated, marked by underperformance of the rate-sensitive NASDAQ 100. Yields have been boosted by expectations that aggressive rounds of fiscal spending on top of extraordinarily loose policy by the Fed will stroke at least the near-term inflationary pressures. Correct. Oh, let's see here. Do we have some news here today? Oh, we have the Chicago Fed National Activity Index coming in. No estimate on that, but the previous was spot 5.2. We got about a minute here before those numbers come out. I'm kind of looking over here out of the corner of my eye on my robots. Okay. Petrobras tumbles 16% in Sao Paulo after Bolsonaro ousts CEO. Wow. Okay, they can do that, huh? Okay, higher than forecast, 0.66, so that's good. It's good. It's good. Yield forecasts from Morgan Stanley. Oh, I like it. I like it. Let's see. Open image in new tab. The 10-year. So right now we're at like 1.2 or something, right? So they expect us by quarter 4 to be 1.45. Well, that would certainly be within tolerance, though. Yeah? Like a 1.45, that is not the market crashes. That is that we continue to go sideways and the environment is just very difficult. Oh, yes, by the way, we need to open up the text-to-speech here. There was some interesting conversation going on over the weekend in the Equity Indexes channel, by the way. I was trying to say, if you let your opinions cloud your psyche enough to start taking positions that aren't supported by your strategy but based on your biases, then you've lost your edge. In other words, edges only exist with a relevant psychological... Okay, but what if your biases are an edge in and of themselves? I mean, Oh, man, I'm sorry if I'm a little quiet. I'm just, man, I haven't been feeling very well this week. Hopefully, later end of the week, I'll be feeling a lot better, but this morning in particular, I'm really feeling like, ooh. Crypto Carnage sends... Well, come on. Come on. This one right here. Where is it? Right here. I think that's so funny, the way that they talk about cryptocurrency. Every time, I mean, obviously, Zero Hedge is trying to run the, trying to ride the free media, on it. Because every time that it comes back, it's carnage. Okay, well, where's my pen? Where's my pen here? Okay, yeah, you got this move here. I admit. You got this move here. Oh, come on. My pen is not working. Gonna try it one more time. Oh, it won't necessarily go over other applications. Well, they need to fix that. Wonder if there's a setting. Okay, well, anyways, we had this down move up from 58 to 52. Okay, fair. But, this move from from 50, well, just short of 50 back to 44. That was one. It's moved from 40 to 32. That one actually looks bigger. And then, of course, there was this one way back in January that we called pretty well. That really set them back for a long time. So, yeah, it was a really carnage. Not really. Oh my gosh, can you hear that? My stomach. Oh. Ah. Well, good morning. Hi, Lucas. Well, so that news was pretty good. I have to say, oh, my robot, Jay, is doing amazing here so far. I think that I should go in and try to put more. So here's my thought. What happened with Lady Robot? She get fired? No, she's there.
Lucas says what happened with Lady Robot? She got fired?
I haven't been using her very much lately because there's just been so much activity. You know what? It's really Vlad's fault. You can blame Vlad. He gives us a lot of stuff. A risk of 200 points in the downside till mid-March. Today I have a gap down open, making me neutral a little, then bearish. Okay, I think that's a fair assessment, Vlad. Now, for now, the yields are kind of coming back up, so I'm thinking equities can probably recover some of this down move. But I think it's going to be really hard either way. And you can see I'm not in a position. Here's the thing. There was kind of a spot down at 38.68 or so. You can actually kind of see it on the volume profile right there. The pen will work on the Jigsaw one. It's just not the NinjaTrader one. Oh, gosh, it doesn't work on that one either. Okay, there we go. Oh, that's so funny. It's like if it's the active window, it won't do it. Okay, now we go. Now it's doing it. Good grief, guys. I'm so sorry. This spot right here. You see it? There was this little spot that they were kind of had trouble with. And then on the upside here, around 76, where we're at right now, they've had a little bit of difficulty too. That is, there's a liquidity hole there. So this spot right here, from a tactical risk-reward perspective, presents some difficulty. Then when we get through that, then there's this whole thing that could suck us all the way up to like 92. Interesting. Now, when I look at the chart, by the way, you want to see what I'm talking about? Here. So here's this chart that I've been working on. And these little squares kind of indicate areas of poor liquidity. Essentially, it moved through a price without trading very many contracts in those locations. You'll see more of them in the overnight session. Granted, okay? And I can make it more or less sensitive. Although in the regular session, making it more sensitive doesn't seem to, because there's like a lower bound of like that they just, almost always trade a certain amount. Anyways, so you can kind of see how in the 76 area they've had trouble, right? When you're looking back at it. And then there's the area up in here. But when I look at this chart, I kind of see where it's like, it's not just that. It's like they come down, and then there's an area of low liquidity. It's not just that they rotate around that quite a bit afterwards. It's like that kind of almost makes it more likely to be rejected, it seems. Yeah. So you come down in here. I guess in this case, it's the opposite, right? But then when they push lower, they continue to see them. So then it does finally reject. But that kind of suggests to me, though, that they'll have some trouble in the 76 area, but that ultimately they're going to come back up to 90, right? I'm still kind of working on this one. Now, in the other side here, when I look at my robot, he's taken some good trades. This one right here had a little bit more adverse excursion than I would like, but then it goes. And I'm frequently finding the robot now, it runs into some situations where it could really let it ride. So like on this one, it never experienced an adverse excursion. I think that it should let it ride, don't you think? Do you think those little squares would paint no matter what time frame chart you were doing, because it's not based on anything to do with the time frame? Yeah, eat a little bit more food here while I wait for your response. It's interesting, don't you think? I mean, when you look at that chart, it seems a little difficult to suss out, but there does appear to be something to it, right? I think I will point these out. You'll hear a sound when it happens again.
Block
and then
by.
pay attention to that spot, and you'll see what makes me so excited about it.
Winston's mom says Bitcoin prices have continued their meteoric rise with Tesla, BNY Mellon and MasterCard's announcements of greater acceptance of cryptocurrencies, JP Morgan a research note last week.
Speculators at day trading says Bitcoin prices have continued their meteoric rise with Tesla, BNY Mellon and MasterCard's announcements of greater acceptance of cryptocurrencies, JP Morgan a research note last week.
I love that voice.
Live Action says woke up last night to trade expecting a move only to find it already moved 34 handles. Now what to do? Winston's mom says you would have loved the television show Hogan's Heroes, sexy blondes with German accents and sexy soldiers in black leather named Colonel Hogan.
Wait, were there German female soldiers in Hogan's Heroes? I think I've seen that. Like, what? That was like a show my dad would watch. Yeah. Wait, who is James DePore? And why is the street retweeting them? Because this guy, he's saying here, I'll show you the tweet. Where'd it go? Where did the tweet go? Oh, wait, what? That's not what I just clicked on. What? James DePore says Bitcoin reversal and rising bond yields pressure the market. Oh, okay. That is the headline from the street. Okay. Okay, so here, I'm just going to retweet this with a comment. Quote tweet. I'm paying close attention to hints that Bitcoin if this dynamic is real and continues into a larger market decline, we are setting up a possible worst case scenario. I'm not sure if it's really a thing though. No, they do have a opening and closing theme. It's funny, you know, thinking back on like having a comedic television show that takes place. So like, oh man, like so Hogan's Hero takes place during World War II, and then there was what was it? MASH. MASH took place during the Korean War, right? I always thought it was Vietnam, but no, it was the Korean War. I don't think that there was a TV show like that took place during the Vietnam War, but can you imagine somebody making a comedic show about the military for the war in Iraq? That seems like there's no way that would happen now, you know? You say nice candles already showing a trading range. No one has to trade it to a narrow little doji today. I don't know. I mean, it's looking pretty strong at the moment, and the yields definitely came back, which I think is really helps them, right? I'm kind of okay. Yeah. Thank you. We had Gomer Pyle during the Vietnam War, but they never talked about training the Marines to go to Vietnam. Hoorah. That's interesting. I didn't see any female soldiers. I wasn't paying attention enough. I saw this TikTok the other day where they talked about it, that there was actually a pretty good number of female soldiers in the concentration camps, and that when they came through and, you know, dealt out punishment and everything, or you know, convicted people of war crimes, they kind of passed over the women. So there were women out there that, you know, have committed gross atrocities and were never and they're still alive. That's another thing so you think about that, like, world, like, you know, that's still 70-year-olds. You know what, though? I don't know why this is just going through my head, but like nothing else is going on, so I might as well talk about it. You know, do you ever hear that joke that, like, it seems like every dad is like preparing for some test about World War II? Like, once you become old, that's the thing that you're supposed to do, is to become an expert on World War II and everything. But and, you know, I do know a lot about World War II. Like, they taught you a lot about it in school, and I guess maybe that's why it's interesting. But the one that I find more interesting is the Vietnam War. I don't feel that they taught us very much in school about World War II. And, yeah. Or, sorry. What did I just say? Let me restart. Pretend that I didn't say anything, okay? Yeah, I don't know why I'm talking about this, but, you know, there's nothing too interesting going on. But, you know, they taught us a lot about World War II in school, but I think the Vietnam War is more interesting, and they hardly taught us anything about the Vietnam War. And I think that the Vietnam War is far more relevant to what we're doing today. Too much of our mentality, like at all levels of government, has kind of turned into, in the United States, a kitchen sink approach. Because when you look at World War II, that's really what World War II ended up being, right? Is that the Germans, they had their blitzkrieg strategy. They were really, really fast. And so the way that the Allies fought back when they put on their offensive is they just threw literally everything into it. It was like they revamped the whole economy around the war, and just completely, you know, threw everything into it, right? Well, once that becomes the strategy, then you're going up against smaller countries like, well, the North Korean War was not quite that. I mean, the North Korean War was difficult, right? They don't talk about that one because that one really was like a loss. Here, Ganesh saying it's because the U.S. won World War II and the Vietnam War was a blemish on the United States. Sure, and it wasn't a real war, too. It wasn't like declared as a war, is what I mean by that. But same with the Korean War. They didn't like outright declare war during the Korean War, right? And then the thing is that if you don't declare war, you can't exactly use the kitchen sink approach. Right? But the issue in the Vietnam War and then in the Iraq War too is that then it becomes an issue of efficiency, right? It's like in the Vietnam War, they were like, okay, we need to kill as many enemy insurgents as we can. And they kept all of these stats about, you know, what they were doing. And so they thought that they were doing a good job. But then at the end of the day, the stat tracking actually kind of ended up being a detriment to them because they were putting so much effort into getting those stats that it was incredibly inefficient and really harmed their larger goals. You know? And it's kind of turned into, I think, the same thing in the Iraq and Afghanistan wars, where I think you could say that we won in Afghanistan but then they came back. Same in Iraq. Like we won in Iraq and then they came back in the country. It's like the efficiency just isn't there because you don't necessarily have good partners over there. And that was the same problem in Vietnam. Was like the efficiency wasn't there and the partners, the government that they were supporting wasn't very good. So I don't know how relevant the war portion of that is today because, well, the Iraq and Afghanistan wars are gone. Maybe we get into a war with Iran. I should say it correctly. It's Iran, Iraq. But I look at the other wars that we're fighting, the non-war wars, the financial wars, the trade wars, the things like that, and you kind of have to sit back and think, okay, are we actually being efficient? And here on that front, it seems like that the partners that you're working with, in this case, like businesses and frankly Congress, don't seem to be very good partners and makes our efforts inefficient. You smell what I'm stepping in? Jim Cramer replied to tweeters, I think it could be important to understand there's folly, lightness, irony in much of what I write. I do not believe in the paranoid style of investing. Oh yeah, there is definitely, I like that. There is definitely a paranoid style of investing. And when I see people come out and talk like that, it's usually not very effective. So that's another argument, Ganesh. The blemish was because those wars were not on higher moral grounds, and especially most outside the U.S. knew the Iraq war was a sham. Well, the Iraq war was a sham in terms of like the reason that we went in appears to be not very, yeah. They shouldn't have gone in, probably. And the funny thing that we learned from that was like once we went in, we kind of looked at it and was like, we actually didn't even necessarily have to do that because they weren't doing as well as we thought they were. You want to be short? Well, I took a buy up there. It's not really going through. I think I'm going to move my stop there and just stop out on that. Yeah. Rabo says, Rabobank markets are starting to be concerned. The magic spell might be breaking. Oh. Well, I tell you what happens is like you get these guys, they're coming in, they were making money literally every day, no matter what they did. And now all of a sudden it kind of quickly turns into it almost seems like no matter what you do, you don't make money. And that starts to upset them. Yeah. Marketeer says works both ways. Bitcoin liquidity. What is their comment here? Oh, it doesn't give me one. I'm not surprised though. When the little less than average trader guy outperforms the professional, you know there's trouble ahead. Well, I don't know if... So here's the question. Well, so first of all, can we say it may be a bit of an exaggeration to say that the small guy outperformed I mean... Like, so one of the arguments that I see in support of that is they say, when you look at the retail favorite basket, how is that doing compared to like the hedge fund favorites? But then I'm like, okay, yeah, if you were holding all of those the whole time, then yeah, you would have gotten that. But I don't think that the traders that have been messing around in that part of the market are really, in it the whole time, right? They're kind of taking little bits here and there, and they're probably having bad ones. And so when you look at any one individual's overall performance, we can't really say what it is, or like what the average retail investor's performance is in that thing. So I'm not 100% convinced that they're outperforming them. You know what I mean? Jigsaw Trading's got a complexity versus simplicity. I hope that that's nuanced. I wonder, well, I don't know. I don't think that Pete comes in and watches regularly, so he's probably not doing that because of anything that I said. If you're listening, Pete, you come and say hi. The retail traders got away with GME once. They can do this again, or will the big dudes be planning a defensive way to stop another GME run? Well, so I don't think that the retail traders got away with. I think that what happened in GameStop was going to happen one way or another, but it happened in the time and manner that it did because of the retail traders. And now that that has happened, if you're a hedge fund, you've got to change. So like, if you were a hedge fund with money, if you were an investor with money in a long short equity fund, you've really got to be questioning it right now, right? At the very least, if you're doing long short equity, you've got to be careful about how many other people are going short that name. It kind of means that the room for how much money can go into long short equity strategy right now has decreased, I think. So I personally, if I was running a hedge fund, I wouldn't want to be running that strategy anymore. Oh, no. If I was running a hedge fund, I would want to be in an options call and put buying strategy of some sort, right? I would be looking for places where their market has underestimated how far something can go, and then use my execution impact and the mark-to-market rules and the inefficiencies in that to push the stock further. That seems to be the strategy right now. Did you watch all of Roaring Kitty's testimony at the hearings last week? I can so I didn't watch the whole thing, but I did watch, the key points. I thought he did a good job. Though, the crazy thing though was that he came in and he said he still thought it was attractive, these prices. And after the hearing, he went and bought more. Can you believe that? He bought more? It's just insane. But no, to the point, I'm not convinced that the retail traders are really making more than the hedge funds. But what I do see is a very concerted effort and narrative floating around that, retail traders are doing well and have become more influential in the market, and that there's more participation in the market. And more participation in the market is good, but it also makes us worried about a market top, right? Because the last thing that I want to see is so many people getting into investing and so forth, and then just get completely burned and shut down, This might be accidental, but my friend is making it. But has he sold yet? Has he actually? So let's remember, if there's anything that I have learned in the last year that I think is more useful and has more edge, and that more, retail traders would do good to know, and it's kind of I'm a little bit split about it, because on one hand I feel like it's something that everybody should know, and on the other hand it's like there's some real edge in it, so I don't necessarily want everybody to know it, but I think it's important enough, and that there's still enough edge around it that I'm okay with sharing it with you like this. There is an execution impact to your trades, and therefore you cannot say that you have made money until you have actually taken the profit. No, he hasn't. I think he is delusional. He thinks it will keep going and going with pullbacks in between, but that it will never bust. Yes. I'm noticing that as well. Like, it seems to me that these new players in the cryptocurrency market don't believe that the 80 to 90% pullback is ever going to happen or crash. We shouldn't call it a pullback. It's not a pullback. That's a crash. They don't think that the crash is going to happen. So on paper, your friend is killing it. Yeah. Well, I wouldn't use the term paper because that implies that it's not real money that they're trading, but they haven't taken their profits yet. They have significant unrealized gains. But the problem is that what we find is that the majority of people can't get out. Right? You could get, that's the thing that's so devious about it. It's not anything to do with you. It's the math. It's the math. You, as an individual person, could get out at any time that you want, but the vast majority of people don't. And that happens because of execution impact. Oh, it's so awful. And you look at this, I got to tell you, what did we say? What do we always say, right? There's an execution impact to every meta order. There was a big meta order in the weekend. And then you will get afterwards two things. One is that there's going to be a post meta order impact, short-term regime change, which would kind of be more like this, where it comes back to like 50%, or you get large meta order going the other way, which will make it go even further. So at the moment, they're about equal, right? If these Bitcoin futures touch 50K, then what that means is they have created the hole, right? They have created the hole. And the difficulty with that one is that then you've got this whole area down to like 4,500. So if they go from 5,000 to 4,500, then the bloodbath starts, right? Then you start to get people that are underwater. And how much money have they expended their ammunition, you know? Like MSTR, could they go out and put more bonds out and borrow more money and buy more Bitcoin to support the price? Could Tesla do that? Somebody else would have to come in and do it. And I don't see why at that point, at some point, then the momentum's against you. And then you're like, well, I don't know, go buy it. and then they're all underwater. I think if this happens, it's going to be really black. I do too. I think that we could literally see an 80 to 90% decline in one day. Like literally, it will happen all at once. He's moving money around, taking it out and putting it in again while buying and selling for other people again. It's going to sound like BS, but last Thursday I went with him for a transaction of 50K. Oh, wow. Okay. Well, he's doing something, but yeah, how will he fare when the selling comes? They wouldn't want new people to chase the stock based on news that's dangerous? Well, depends on the news, right? I think I made a mistake, and I'm not sure how I'm going to deal with this in a new video. But, I made that video on news. And I really do strongly believe that news is one place that a retail trader can find some edge, and that is underutilized by retail traders. But I think that some people, when they hear news, they think, you see the ticker on Twitter and you go and you jump into the stock as fast as possible when everybody else is jumping into it, and, that sort of a thing. And when you look at the setups I was actually talking about, that was not really the case. In every single one of those trades that I go through in that video, there was a lot of opportunity to get in, and you really didn't have to chase it. In fact, in many of those situations, you had to take it against the momentum because the initial market reaction to that news was wrong, right? So I think I need to make another video that's like the power of nuance. To go into, you know, how the market rewards a nuanced and detailed view, and that retail traders often want to ignore the nuance. You know? Because there's this other overarching narrative that I'm trying to build for you guys here on this channel, which is that the vast majority of retail traders have to be unprofitable, because it's only going to be that small little 10% of the one thing that matters that not everybody knows. If you're taking the piece of information that everybody else knows, then you're just going to break even. But you need to have that thing that gives you the edge over everybody else. You need to have an actual informational edge. And that informational edge is going to end up being something really nuanced that everybody misses, right? Cough 10%. Well, it looks like they're coming back down through this. I didn't get the whole, but it's a little slow. If I get it turned back up, I do think I want to take it long. Did you took it short there, right, Ace? Then I got out, yeah. You went before I think you got in before I took it. Yep. The yields came back really aggressively here on the open, so I'm not sure if there's something driving that. Let's see here. Further clarification on answers. This is George Conclave's bond strategist. A minor sell-off equals 5 to 10% down. Yes, it might freak folks out, but that is minor if it stabilizes and then powers up. Typical price action of 1 to 3% pullbacks equals a grind up. Self-explanatory, extreme everywhere. Make it doable. Okay. Like, everybody is sitting here looking for it to go down, don't you think? He's my friend, so I enjoy it. He made enough to live like the rest of his life off of this. If he invests these profits, it's like if this takes the wrong turn, he loses ever. Oh my gosh. But that's it. So, but that's my whole point, is that, like, if he's in it that deep, if he's really made that much money from the markets, and I don't know, you're saying like he could live his life out if he invests these profits, that suggests to me that he's made multiple $1 million. He's a multi-millionaire right now, right? If you have multi-million in the Bitcoin market right now, that's going to have some impact, you know? And how do you get out when it's going, you know? Like when it's really going. And everybody seems to think, they all think of it from a retail trader. They think I can get in and out whenever I want. But the reality is that when it's going down, almost nobody can get out because the liquidity completely disappears. No, not multiple. He is close to 7 figures by the country we live in. Oh, I gotcha. Okay. That's fair. Yeah, because if I had $1 million, I'm thinking, I've thought, okay, if I become a garlic millionaire, what do you do with that money then at that point? Do you turn around and you keep trading it? And I'm thinking, no, I think I need to put that in an S&P 500 index fund and start living off of the distributions, you know? Because if you have $1 million and you're making 10% per year, that's already like $100,000. Most people can live off of $100,000, right? But it's probably even more complicated than that, because then it's like, oh, actually, I need to put some of it in at 529 and have to diversify it. Couldn't put it all in the S&P 500. Some of it would have to go into real estate. If I had $1 million, I would buy Seth coin. Well, there is no Seth coin, but you can go and buy Garlic coin. Ooh, Garlic coin's probably going to get hit hard. Well, actually, I bet you that the Garlic coin price in terms of Bitcoin will probably stay somewhat stable, but in terms of dollars, it's going to get creamed with the rest of the crypto market, right? What happened with Garlic? Yeah, so Garlic coin, it went from like 1/100 of a cent to at 1.3 cents, which is a lot. I'm no longer quite as large of a whale in the Garlic coin market, but did you get? Not yet. So was it earlier? I was like, my stomach was really hurting, and I guess didn't eat a big enough dinner. Because where it bothers me is when, your bowels have mostly emptied themselves out, and then you got new food coming into them. So for me, I'm always trying to keep a steady stream of food going through. But I haven't been eating as much because I haven't been working out, because it makes me so sleepy. But it's in the mail, and it should get here Wednesday. Do I look tired? I don't think that's kind of funny you say that, because my doctor has told me that you can tell that when I'm having those problems, that it's good to come in because you can see it physically. But I can't tell. And the funny thing is that psychologically speaking too, if I didn't know, I wouldn't notice. Oh, okay, so they just broke 50. You know what, guys? I'm not liking the S&P 500 right now, and I'm thinking we should just pull up a crypto dom. What do you think? Should we just let's just re-gear towards this? Let's see here. The active contract should be March right now, right? Do I actually get that data, though? Maybe I don't get the crypto market. Well, I've gotten it in the past. Well, I'm getting this data. I'm just why is it not giving me? Oh, no, wait. We're on February. Are we on February? BTC. Oh, that's 2020. We want February 2021. Okay. Da, 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 da. Just want to come in here, double check that that's where the volume is. It definitely is. It is in February. Okay. Now, when you look at this market, it is awfully thin. So let's get rid of some of these columns. Don't need this. Don't need this. Don't need this. Don't need the snapshots. Don't need these profile columns. Okay. Oh my gosh, there's like no liquidity in this thing. Are you kidding me? So opening it up in the DOM is ultimately not all that useful, but it would be probably better if we open this up, right? So let's undock it and just minimize that for now. And come in, we'll bring him down so that we can only see that much of it. And what do you think? That's looking okay. And then we've got to really zoom out. Hey Anthony, how are you? I didn't notice that you gave us a little. Wait, did it not send? Oh, here it is. With all this craziness in DeFi and ETH gas fees, which are huge, many regular Kryptonians are stuck and can't escape. Add all the farming and stacking, and you have a market with billions locked. Oh man, yeah. Okay. I'm gonna put the title as Bitcoin gets routed. You have a alternate proposed title for that. Interval 1, I think, is fine. We will make the width of them bigger, though. Or is that? No. That's right. I thought if I change the interval width that the individual things would get wider, but it's not doing that, actually. Okay. We'll make this circle tuner minimum. What? Jay took that short too? Good grief. Okay, well, so I'm just coming in here and looking. It looks like Brandon tried taking it long and got. Oh, no, wait. It says it tried taking it short. Oh, he tried taking it short and it's just turning around on him right there. Do you know that YouTuber called Vegetable Police? I've never heard of that. Uh-oh, what's Yellen saying? Yellen says it makes sense for Federal Reserve to study digital currency. But she's also saying that it's commonly used for illicit finance. Okay, so at the moment, they are recovering 50K again. We need to add in here a delta chart. Yes, sir. Yeah, there we go. Oh man, that's as minimized as I can make it. Okay, we're gonna have to change this then. Let's just make it tall. Okay, so prices recovering, the futures aren't really trading it up on that. He spent his entire life trying to cure colitis? Really? Well, I'm gonna have to go watch him then. Wait, how do you know? You were on a stream earlier when I talked about that. I haven't really used the word ulcerative colitis very many times on this channel, so you're remembering something. You paid attention. I tried every diet so you don't have to. Well, that's hilarious. Okay. Oh, now on this chart, where did it go? This right here. Let's add more level 2. Ah, yes, much better. So while we're watching the Bitcoin market here, oh, you said that yesterday? Was it yesterday? On Friday? I don't remember. Yeah. Anyways, while we're watching it here, something I want you to pay attention to is this spread. So this little black area with the dots, take note of when it becomes larger or smaller. That's kind of what you want to look at on an instrument, on a thin instrument like this. So we've had a bit of a pullback. There was this spot right here where there was a little bit of a buy. We'll see if they come back through. Bitcoin down 10%. Okay, he's turning back down. Now we need to reduce our interval width so that we can see it a little bit better. Yeah. 2 is fine. No, wait, maybe 3. I want to see that spread. Oh, did you see the spread just crazy pull? Well, that's weird. Before it was showing me spread at almost every step, but now it's like, oh well. Okay, hopefully that's better. That thing must move entirely on market orders. Limits might be almost non-existent. I think it's more complicated than that. So let's pull it back up here. So when you look at it, there are limit orders, right? But they're all over the place, right? The DOM is almost not useful on that one. It's unreadable DOM, yeah. But here's the thing: is it's okay. This spread. So here's what I was trying to get at. If you're a market maker, the thing that matters to you the most in this and that kind of environment is what your spread is. So watching the spread and the spread increase or decrease is a key thing to look at. So you can see here, they've come back up. It looks like it's come back up mostly on pulling, and the spread has actually increased. Why is the whole crypto market crashing? I don't think that there is necessarily a reason for it. But I do think that the pump that we saw starting on Friday was pretty suspicious, and that it makes a lot of sense that we would have created a big hole underneath of us that would suck us back in. Now they did recover a pretty good amount of it. They did recover a pretty good amount of it. The thing is they did get to a spot where the momentum in Bitcoin overall could be flipping down. They didn't get to the point at which like it starts to cause real havoc, right? Once we start getting into like the 4,500s or so, then you start to get some havoc. But for now, it looks like they came down into that and it's finding some support. Yellen's still talking, by the way. Do you think it's a good entry point right now? I'm not going to opine on that. I am not bullish on the cryptocurrency market in general here. I think it's overbought. There's a lot of things I like about cryptocurrencies, but Bitcoin in particular, I'm just not. I think that the whole investment thesis that people put out on it is wrong. Can't actually be used for what people are saying. That's my opinion. And I didn't buy in this last cycle, but if I had, I would have already been out. I would have gotten out quite a while before we hit 50K. So I think I would have taken it from like 30 to 20 or something like that. Sorry, not 3,000. I would have taken it back when it was like at 3,000. Paper hand. Well, I have a system that has a pretty good historical track record on getting you out before the crash comes. The issue is that when you get a crash, like, it's always going to go further than you can expect. So margin was 40K for intraday last time I checked, really. Well, maybe I should be looking at if I can connect to Coinbase directly. Let's see here. Jigsaw does have some tools here for that sort of thing, I think. Oh, you can connect to Bitfinex. I don't think I have a Bitfinex account. Don't think I do. Maybe I do, actually. The website looks familiar to me. Oh, I guess I do. Okay, well. Okay. Okay. So many new. It's been a while. I haven't been into it since 2019, apparently. So if I come in here, I'm just gonna switch it to my camera for now. See if I can connect to them that way. Oh, you need an application key, huh? There we go, API keys. Create a new key, maybe? Hmm. Try that. Oh, and then I have to check my email. Whew. Whew. Okay. Putting all the secret things in there. What kind of dog is that? What are you talking about? Talking about the Jolteon in the background? Okay. Let's try that. Did it make it? Okay. Pending. Failed. Connection failed. Attempting restart. Did not like it. Oh, look at the S&P 500 go. So we were looking for 90s, right? Oh, you could hear the dogs barking. Those are Yorkies. FOMO along, everyone. Well, I don't think I'm going to be able to get Bitfinex to work here. So I'm just going to give up on that. But I'll try it after this stream. It looks like they're recovering pretty nicely here. Yeah, the S&P 500, that initial move looks pretty good for the first 10 minutes. I'm not going to say that it's like scot-free yet, but I do still see a possibility of coming back up to the 95 area. The treasury is pulled back considerably. Where can I learn day trading bonds using volume profile? Well, so I learned from No BS day trading is where I first got started. I don't necessarily do profile. The thing is there's not any one particular source that you can get everything that you need to know, right? And there's different people doing different things and they know stuff, and a lot of the stuff that you really want to know that's really useful, you kind of have to figure out on yourself because the people that know aren't sharing it, you know? I've been getting, so my Yorkies, they love to sit on blankets. And I'm starting to want, and they lick them, and I don't like it when he licks the blanket. And so I've been, every time that they try and sit on my blanket, I tell them to get off. And the older one in particular just doesn't get it. And it's really annoying. The spread widening there in Bitcoin. Still kind of moving up though. Good morning, Keller. Yeah, sorry, I haven't been following chat very well today, have I? Volume profile works in any instrument. Problem with bonds is that they are so slow. If you want a profile play, maybe it's going to take all day. Well, yeah, if you want to swing it, if you're going to, a lot of like volume profile kind of trades tend to be more of a swing kind of a trade. And if you're going to swing in the treasuries, yeah, you're going to be in those positions for a long time. There are times where I will take a trade in the treasury. Like if I know it's going to be a trend day, I'll get in right at the beginning and I'll just hold it all day. The problem with Yorkies are so frail. I guess. I mean, they've been pretty healthy dogs. Okay, so they had a good run there. They're coming back to that 76 area. Goldman strategists say Fed hike pricing is getting close to the limit. That's true. Well, so when we were looking at it earlier, JP Morgan was estimating that we would be at 1.45 by the end of the year. And 1.5 is a point at which like the markets would really start to flip out about that. Didn't quite get the price I wanted. That's fine. Now you went short? Okay. How many has this guy done today? Hold on a second. Has he lost any? Yes, he's lost one. Still, out of 6, that's dang good. That's dang good. Showing a little, so they're moving up, but it's being a little bit shy. The mini is. Bitcoin is mostly just all over the place. It is fun to watch the spread, and I think that the spread does matter in here, but when you look at like how this market reacts to market orders and stuff like that, you can see that it's quite inconsistent because this is futures really aren't the primary market for it, right? The futures are still very illiquid. ECB's guard, ECB closely monitoring the evolution of longer-term yields. I think that for the buying that we have seen today, that I think that's a major component of it. Like we've got an area up in the 95 area that is probably going to suck them up into it. And then you add on top of that the yields got better. And Brandon did took it on the nose today. Bitfinex comes in and says the plunge protection team is in action, showing a bad gateway image here from one of their exchanges. This one, bybt.com. Are the meme stocks pumping? Should we pull up the stocks? We haven't been following the stocks as closely lately, but we probably should, huh? Hold on. There we go. Well, over in Bitcoin, he says plunge protection team. What it looks like to me is that they fell so quickly that you know there's some liquidity behind them. I can't really see the details over here in the Bitcoin futures the way that I can in the E-mini, but just the way that it's moving, this kind of suggests that that's what's going on. Okay, so coming back over here. Ooh, GameStop is up. He's up a good 18% today. And pressing some of the levels from last week. Even. And we need to go back a little bit. 10 days maybe. So they're not quite to where things kind of like really flattened out at 50. But it is a pretty good pump. I think that a lot of people were encouraged when they saw that DFV had bought more. Does Auction Vista aggregate numbers like showing liquidity in one handle scale? And yeah, I wish they did, but they don't. I think that it is a planned feature, though. It's my understanding. Because that's seems to me like that would be more useful, don't you think? In such a light market like Bitcoin. So what else is running today? Well, gold and silver is doing pretty good, right? Gold is running. They got above that 1800 level in gold, by the way. So that's nice. What's not doing so well? Tesla's not doing so well. Ooh, rare earth resources giving up a little bit of their gains. Well, they had a pretty good day the other. Where is it? Oh, we don't have one. You don't have one open. There's MSTR. MSTR's not getting hammered today, really. I'm surprised it's only down 5%. Yeah, see here. Oh, maybe I just need to come back. Yeah. So rare earth resources has been on a pretty good run, so it's not surprising to see it come back. Yeah, so much useful in thinner markets. Yeah. Well, if they're ever going to do stocks, I think you kind of need that sort of stuff. Because looking at the order block books otherwise, it just looks like noise. And I really believe that seeing what, monitoring the liquidity is a very important part of understanding what a market is doing. So not being able to really see the level 2 for the whole market in Bitcoin is kind of a problem. No, that's interesting. Mr. Taleb complaining about publishing. As an author, I own Amazon before publishers were subservient to bookstores and their book placement. So when I wrote FBR on my own terms, it was a problem. Fictional characters, math, discussions, philosophy. Was it popularization? No. Was it about finance? No. No, it's about what? So no publisher. I found a weird outfit who accepted at half price. Bookstores were good at ignoring my work. Why should a neighborhood bookstore that isn't interested in higher things just moving books? Amazon did not have rigid shelves. There's this romantic idea of the neighborhood bookstore out to save literature, social life, thinking these people survive on books that have a specific public. So the monster that drove them bust allowed me to get an audience I would have never have had. The worst were standard book editors whose employment is to make sure no author ever write on his or her own terms. They lectured me about focus. Is your business to focus or to sell books? I exist as an author because of Amazon stores did everything make me think. This is Nassim Nicholas Taleb, author of The Black Swan or whatever it is. What was the book where he introduces the Black Swan? Anyways, good stuff. Does Rhythmic show large individual limit orders? Well, I mean, if there is a large limit order out there, it will show it to us, and we can see a lot of levels of depth, but it doesn't show me if there's a queue how many different orders there are in that, unless you're paying for Rhythmic API Plus, which is $100 a month extra. Haven't paid attention to markets since last Wednesday. Is there a reason we're seeing this steady sell-off? This is slight. So in the traditional markets, we're moving down, I believe, largely because yields have been increasing. And today they are pulling back considerably, I believe, because of comments from the ECB. Cryptocurrency exchange Binance has temporarily suspended withdrawals of Ethereum and Ethereum-based tokens due to high network congestion. Oh, so we have a slight pullback. And all of a sudden, everything shuts down. I have to say, man. Everybody, this is the thing is everybody busts my balls for saying, it's overbought. You probably want to get out. And then it keeps going. And they're like, it keeps going. You were wrong. And I'm sitting here like, you want to be out early, man. You don't want to be getting out when everybody else is, man. Man. Oh no, Robinhood canceling GameStop orders all over again? Or are they doing? Oh no. But yeah, in cryptocurrency, of course. Yeah, no, I tell you what, it was last, in the 2017 crash, it was way worse, right? In the 2017 crash, it was Coinbase just would completely shut down. The casinos can't afford to pay the winners, right? Well, so here again, Exchange Binance has temporarily suspended withdrawals of Ethereum and Ethereum-based tokens due to high network congestion. So what they're saying is that the Ethereum network has crawled to a halt. And so they're not going to let you even try to put in a order. Does that make sense? Doesn't really, does it? That even becomes even more fishy. So it's like, oh, okay, so when you want to move your Ethereum over to Coinbase so that you can sell it, they won't, but the network congestion is high. They won't even let you try to put in orders and, you know, just give it a really high fee and let it go. No, you're just like not even allowed to transfer it. If it's network restrictions, why can't you buy it, right? Well, I think that you can still go onto their exchange and buy it. Sure. But this, the issue is that they're not all authorized to do like trade with dollars. I don't think that Binance you can. Could be wrong. Let's check. Crypto exchanges with dollars. I know that you can do it on Coinbase and okay, so here we go. No, but I don't think that they have USD. Oh, I think Kraken can do USD now. Oh, okay, Binance does have US dollar. A lot more of these have it then. So it used to be that like Coinbase was like literally the only one. Looks like Coinbase is still, hell, it's not the top liquidity, is it? 340? That's what they list it. Fees on Coinbase for fiat trades are steep. What's your favorite? So the E-mini was looking really good on the upside, but now it's struggling again. That my HFT is not taking more trades. That's interesting. So if he had taken that long, it would have worked though. Seen in politics how a bad response to a weather disaster can ruin a political career. The way that it looks like, I really do wonder if Ted Cruz's presidential ambitions are over, which is maybe a good thing for Republicans, but it's like a really simple mistake, and it really is hitting him hard, I think. I don't think it'll ever remove him from office or stop him from being a prominent member in the Senate. I just kind of wonder if it'll hurt him on a presidential ticket. I guess we'll see if people remember it in 4 years. Because with Chris Christie, I kind of thought, people forget about it. But it seems like it really hurt him. Like, where it matters is that the political insiders just remember it. They're like, I don't know if he's really, that's too big of a risk to have on our ticket. You know, you get that sort of a thing. Nero Cruz, what? So my next question here in Bitcoin is, how far can they recover? What was the cause of the initial move? Do they stop and then turn down around again and go even? Because we've seen that before. You get a really, like, it tends to be, you get a really big one and then we're watching it and it comes back. And then sometimes that's it and like it recovers. Like, I remember the first time that they breached 6K after 2017 on the downside, that happened a couple of times. But then there was another time where that happened and it was coming back up like this. And then later in the day, it just absolutely dumped again. Sunday tends to sell off. Supreme Court clears the way to release Trump's taxes. That sounds like a deceptive headline. Let's try and read what that's about. I'm interested. Oh, that's a different one. Bum, 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 ba-dum, ba-dum, bum. No dissents. That's not a very good description. See, the one where Congress was requesting his documents, I think that one should be rejected. Well, looks like they're not picking it up over here yet. Yeah, it hasn't really hit the blogs yet, so. And the CNN story about it doesn't really go into the specific ruling or what was going on, so. I'm going to assume that what happened was a subpoena was issued. They pushed back on it all the way to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court said, no, it's a subpoena from a lower court. It's fine. Supreme Court refuses to review Pennsylvania election cases. No standing before an election. Mute after Justices Alito, Gorsuch, and Thomas dissent from the denial. Okay, so it was once again, it was the lead guy that's stopping it. Who is Nia Tanden? that will oppose Neera Tanden to lead the White House Budget Office, dealing a decisive blow to her hopes of nomination. Okay. That matters, potentially. Well, Bitcoin kind of flattening out there, and you're running into it that looks like maybe they have found a hole. You know, maybe there's a better way to watch this, like the footprint chart or something. Google to lift political ad ban put in place following the... Yeah, okay. Like anybody's doing political ads right now. Yo, you think so, huh? That sounds like that's a nice theory, Sultan. He says Bitcoin miners are liquidating some of their Bitcoin to finance big zero interest loans to grow, maintain their farms, and commence the big collective big hodling, driving the price to infinity. Yeah, probably. So do you have any empirical evidence to support that wild theory? Because it sounds to me more like that's what you hope is happening rather than that you have evidence that that's actually what is happening. And I will not, this is not the channel to come in and like try and pump things or push unproven conspiracy theories about what's happening in the markets. We're a serious trading channel. And if we're going to trade on a piece of information, it needs to be confirmed. Okay, here it is on. The High Court's decision to turn down Trump's request for a stay of a grand jury subpoena advances a criminal Okay, so it goes back to a grand jury then? Oh, this isn't a hodl moon diamond hands? Nope. Nope. You can call me paper hands, but I made money on GameStop, so... Miners aren't that big to fund themselves on Treasury. Besides, this type of thing is probably arbitraged out. Well, like part of the reason why I'm so like resistant to that idea is that you don't need any kind of real explanation to justify this kind of action. We pumped from 50,000 almost to 60,000 just over the weekend. So like, why wouldn't it come back? You know? like when it was happening, especially when it was pumping on Friday morning, because usually when they pump or it goes like overnight or a time that we're not watching, right? But when it does it like in full view of the most active time of US markets, that you kind of got to be suspicious. Where did you sell? So I got out of GameStop at 320, I believe. Got out 320 on the first time around, and then I bought in again at like 250 and bailed. But I had made so much from the first trade that I still made money. So if I had held on, then I wouldn't have made money. So I did the right thing. The micro strategies, yeah. I wouldn't trust anything he says because he's stupid, to be frank with you. I'm sorry, but you don't take out $1 billion worth of loans and then put it all into cryptocurrency leveraged on your company. Like, when people look at the stock price of MSTR, like, do they not realize how insane what they're doing is? You've bought $1 billion worth of cryptocurrency on margin. So when that doesn't happen, If that falls apart and you lose everything on those cryptocurrency holdings, you own $1 billion worth of debt. Like, you know? Signed to some commercial. Yeah, so it is a grand jury subpoena. So if there's a grand jury subpoena, I don't see why it wouldn't come through. But I'm wondering if maybe it still has to go to a grand jury and still gets played out or something. You know what I mean? So that one might not be a big deal. Oh, I see what's going on here. It's funny, he was talking about Ace, but then I'm like, Ace hasn't said anything recently. Oh, and it made it again. Okay, now that one was a bad trade, though. That one was a bad trade. Like, it worked, but you got lucky. It was only the risk reward that helped him get that one. If I had decreased the risk reward, well, let's see here. Drawing tools, risk reward. Da da da. I change this and change the ratio from 2 to 1. Yeah, it would have stopped out. Taking it the other direction would have been better. So let's see here. If I come back here. Okay, 1, 2, those are good. That one with the minimum would have been okay. That one was correct, and if we switched it wouldn't be. But we could maybe just filter that one out and be fine. That one was bad. Okay, well. See, he's trying to go long. I don't think he should be. Especially since the longer term trend is up. So could come back and just include longer term trend again. Still, it took how many now? Did Jay take? 7. So it's going to be 6 of 8 is still acceptable. Well, he got it again. He got it again. He's only lost one. That one had a little bit more excursion on it than I think it should, but he made it. Like, he got away with it. By the way, that turned back down across the moving average awfully quickly, didn't it? Bears in control? Well, that was, let's say that was a pretty good excursion, okay? I'd have to say that right now the auction looks pretty healthy to me. Fed sparking, we see a lot of pent-up demand for services and for goods. I'm a little skeptical about. There's definitely some pent-up demand, but there's other things that are just demand that's just going to be lost for a lot of companies, especially for small companies, right? Market went right through you. Well, I do have to say, if we can't get to 38.90, if there's really that much opposition to getting to 38.90, but it's really flippy floppy, you know? Now, as the E-mini is coming down, Bitcoin turned down too. Oh, that's curious. Curiouser and curiouser. And where's our Tesla? He's going to be way down here. TSLA is all over the place there at the moment. But Tesla was down before the Bitcoin crush. So that wouldn't be enough to... By the way, which way am I taking it? Or which way is Jay taking it? Okay. That's what I thought. It's kind of contrary. Maybe what I need to do is I just need to have two of them. Sure. And we could just compare which one works better. I think that's what we're going to have to do. Because the differences between them are too subtle looking through on an inspection to see which algorithm I should be using. It's acting up today. Well, nah, he got pretty good at the start, right? No wise fish could go anywhere without a porpoise. Oh my gosh. So this weekend we played Minecraft with the kids. So like, between the laptops, and you can, if you use the Windows 10 edition, so this is a frustrating thing, is that Microsoft took over Minecraft and they tried to turn it into a service, and the way that they run that service kind of sucks. But if you get the Windows 10 edition, there's crossplay between your phone and the PC. So we were playing it, and I ran across a dolphin in the ocean It's like they have dolphins in the Minecraft now. Oh my gosh. Buyers are getting plastered in the face. Well, so in the E-mini, yeah, it really went against them, right? I have to say, Jay, I am getting awfully impressed by Jay here. I am getting awfully impressed by Jay here. So he took it short, but here is another one where it was like, you could let it run so much. Like, I actually think if I went back and tested this and I like increased the risk reward, that it could be better. Like, I think that I still would want to keep as long of a stop as I have. Because I think it's like an 18 tick stop, or sorry, a 16 tick stop and an 8 tick target. But some of these I could probably do equal or even 2. I need to develop a better way of determining when to let it run. So I was saying, well, how much it goes against you is a good indication of whether you should let it run. Well, that one we should have let it run, but it wasn't really. Nah. Don't think that that's it. Oh my gosh, so the kids, when they use their faucet, I can hear the water and it's really loud and it makes me wonder if there's something wrong. Wait, what? Oh my gosh. Devastating news. Oh no, devastating news. Oh, Daft Punk is splitting up. What? Oh my god, this has nothing to do with markets. Don't be getting out of a trade because I'm freaking out here, but Daft Punk calls it quits? Unbelievable. Well, so does that mean that we'll just get Thomas Bangalter all by himself? That would be fun. They broke the news with an 8-minute video titled Epilogue, excerpted from their 2006 film Electrorama. They gave no reason. That is just, I am devastated. Look, he got it again. It's so perfect. So look at this one, though. See where I'm like, maybe you can let that one, because look, literally never went against him. I have to say, that's pretty good. Like, it seems like having the risk reward, obviously it helps, but there's definitely, we could do it on equal risk reward. We could. There is a lot of edge to it beyond that. Now, the next question would be, do you actually get that price? Because that's another thing, right? He's starting to show now that we've made these changes and we've incorporated level 2 into the robot, it is showing enough efficacy that I think we could put it into a combine. Like, it seems like that's, yeah. But I should do the A/B testing on this, because I have 2 different algorithms for reading the level 2, and sometimes they give you opposite signals from each other. And I should test if one works better than the other. And I should test when they both. I should probably run 3 versions of it. Which combine do you recommend? Well, I don't recommend combines. I think it's better to trade your own account. This particular strategy, though, was kind of designed for it. Kind of to make a point. But I think that we will probably, if we choose to do that, we will probably put it on the original, on Top Step. Those earn to trade guys were emailing me about my video again, so that they don't feel that they feel that the thumbnail is misleading. And I don't want to be like antagonistic towards them, so I'm gonna try and work it out with them. Yeah, so we're back to 76. It seems to me that the market has a long memory of high and low liquidity areas, which is to say that if an area experiences low liquidity, that it tends to have unique behavior around that location that includes also having low liquidity again. To hell with them, no one cares. Well, okay, so the question is, why would you pay someone to take money to trade just to open an account, use some micros, and spend your money learning how to trade? Yeah, so the reason why I'm thinking about doing it for this one is because it for two reasons. One is that I'm not sure that I want to move over to NinjaTrader as my broker. So if I do a combine, I think that I could continue to use a different broker for my own trading. It's the first thing. The second thing is that I can probably scale them up a lot faster if I do the combine. So now on the split side, this thing, so today it's doing really well. It's made $50. Okay. On one sim contract. Okay. So when you think about how long that's going to take to pass the combine, right? Like, that's a problem with it. So maybe I won't do a combine with it. Maybe I will just move over to NinjaTrader and trade it on my own account. If he continues to perform like that, I think it could. And he has risk management built in, and so probably we could just continue to do it. And at that point, then I could use the, well, I don't know how I want to do it. I really wish Rhythmic had VIX data. No robot here, just gut instinct. Well, so part of the reason that I did this the way that I did was because I saw something that I can't trade fast enough. It's definitely a fast thing. And this was the robot that when I was trading it on E-minis, it was like giving me different stuff. So I don't know. But remember that this one was also the one that that intentionally takes on a lot of risk to kind of demonstrate what the issues with such a strategy are. And there are, when you go back into the back testing, there are drawdowns that are quite dramatic. But this also has a level 2 filter on it, so which we can't really backtest, which makes a big difference. I have to say, there is some serious edge in just reading the level 2. What do you mean fast things? I mean, like, if you look at where it took this particular trade when it overextended up at 38.79, it was only there for a tick and it took it down. So, and like the difference between this one and this one is 3 seconds, right? So you did not have a lot of time to get in. You could not sit around and think about it or anything. Like, it's just, it happens and you go. And so the robot is being fast is important, and you're just not going to be as fast as the robot. And you can see what ends up happening it very often will get trades that never go against it. Now, it does still appear to take trades within a range that maybe we didn't want it to take, but today they turned out because of the risk, because it takes on the excessive risk, that all works out. Now, also surprisingly, the robot doing so well. Now, I don't know if that's how typical that is, because this is the first day that I've really run it with the settings that we have right now. But if we go back to the others aren't doing so hot today. What do you mean with level 2? Well, so I'm not going to go into what it's exactly doing with level 2. All I will say is that it is using the level 2 indicators that I have developed that you can download from speculatorsset.com and use if you sign up for the $10 a month subscription through this YouTube channel. So let that marinate for a second. I need to go take a break. So I will be right back. Let's see here. Can you show how to place a trade on Sims so can see how to on Ninja Trader? So now, wait, let me go back here. Let me read what y'all saying here. So when I begin to trade, I will be at a disk, and when I want to make the trade, I will be clicking on a trade, and then it happens in that moment. Okay, well, I'll show you on NinjaTrader 8. So we'll pull this one up. And we will turn on the chart trader. There's a button for it up here, or I think somewhere over here there's a... Yeah, I don't know where the property is. But up here at the top, chart trader on. And then you get this thing off to the side. And right here is where you select which account you want it to be. Right? You can also select an ATM strategy, which is something that you might want to do. So like it can come in here and it can say, make me a custom ATM strategy. And then you can come in and you can say, okay, I want there to be a target and a stop loss at this thing. And you can do even more complicated stuff like reverse a stop, chase, reverse target, target chase, chase if touched, etc. Or maybe some things that we should take a look at. By the way, we need to, this chart is not updating. Okay. And then, so once you have that, you can use these buttons, which I think are really useful. Buy market, sell market. They're on the wrong sides. Buy market should be on the right and sell market should be on the left. Whatever. Buy market, sell market. You can also like, buy at the bid or the ask, like the best bid and best ask, and put a limit order in. Or you can just right click on it and you can say buy limit here, sell limit here, right? So that's how you do it on the chart trader. Show her the DOM. Yeah, now if you're doing it on Jigsaw, so if you use the Jigsaw, there's not a chart trader for Jigsaw, right? But what you can do is you'll just have the DOM, and you've seen me do that a billion times, right? You just come in and you say, I want to buy it at this price, and you click the price that you want to buy or sell it at. And it's that simple. And there's a little trade manage window thing over here, where you say how many contracts you want, and it has the same buy market, sell market sort of stuff. Oh, look, Jigsaw has it on the left too. That's interesting. Well, anyways. And then here you can select which account is that bid up at the top. So that's how you do it. Or you can do the NinjaTrader DOM, which is just terrible, I must say. You want to use a static DOM, and we can come in and select ES. But it's a similar sort of a thing. You just, wherever you want to buy it at, you click on the price. Probably I need to make that wider so we can see. Demo the same indicator you have underneath your Ninja chart. Yeah, I'm using the resting orders indicator for my robot. But I don't go completely into how that works, because there is a little sophisticated data wizardry stuff over that. I think rookies should use down first. I mean, I really feel that the best way to execute a trade is to buy Jigsaw Day Trader and just click over here. I want to see what Reddit is saying about Daft Punk. By the way, I was about to say it when we came back, but I didn't. But Tesla's getting creamed here. Almost down 5% on the day. It started pretty bad, but then they turned down again pretty hard. Apple also turning down pretty hard and showing a similar kind of a pattern. So it seems like that the NASDAQ stocks in particular are just getting hammered. Silver looks just great. Silver and gold. GameStop was doing well at the start. It is still above yesterday's levels, but it's coming back. GameStop is. I am still of the opinion that the GameStop trade is just over. Well, I mean, how can you not say that it's over? At least for a short-term trade. Daft Punk splits up to become Dogecoin investors. Oh, please no. Daft Punk sort by the past 24 hours. Okay. Oh, there's the Daft Punk subreddit is actually quite active. Does it? Yeah, that means that we'll never see them live. Oh. That was what really did it for them, was their live show, right? Was just amazing. I have heard the word daft and I have heard the word punk, but I have never heard the words Daft Punk together. I don't know, don't care. Sounds like a spin-off band from ICP. So if I started playing for you on the stream, which I won't because of DMCA and all that crap, but if I started playing for you on the stream, their songs, you would immediately recognize them. Like, they're the one that made that song that goes, around the world, around the world, around the world, around the world. That was their first really big hit. Well, or you could go even further back when it was just Thomas Bangalter. This wasn't Daft Punk, but it was one of them, and he did Music Sounds Better With You. Oh, that one's so great. Oh my gosh. So much. There's so many good Daft Punk songs, man. The funny thing about Daft Punk is that they were, like, for people that were into electronic dance music, like, they were a thing for a long time. Like, early Daft, yeah. Will Justin says early Daft Punk, yeah. So you got to realize that they are what they call French house, which is like a really disco sounding house with a lot of filters. There's a really strong focus on filters and really, how would I put it? Really growly kind of bass synth, analog synths. And so their early stuff, it's kind of repetitive and it's based a lot of the filters. So it wasn't really mainstream popular, even though they had a couple of songs that had reached the mainstream. So, like, Before My Mission and Daft Punk was like one of my favorites, but like nobody had heard about it. And then after that, they came back and first they made Better, Harder, Faster, Stronger. Which you definitely would have heard before. And then they did a tour where they remixed all of their songs live with live synthesizers and everything. It was like this absolutely insane setup. Then they had this insane pyramid light show around them and everything. Like, it was just crazy that they pulled that off, and that was amazing, right? And then they made the soundtrack for the new Tron Legacy. And then they had a radio hit song. What was that one called? Get Lucky. Yes. See, I know I'm giving you all of the Daft Punk history. The funk. Oh, yes. Oh my gosh, when that well, hold on, let me see. You're going to see all of their videos are going to be like super popular. They have a YouTube channel. You just go to Daft Punk. Yeah. Dude, in Defunk, when it's like halfway through the song and that really, really distorted acid 303 comes on, oh, it's so great. It's so great. You miss Gary? Well, I don't know if he can come back if he wants, but I kind of was, when I was looking at it, I was like, I don't know why he's doing this. What, probably we're all better off with him staying away. Are they gay? I mean, they could be. I don't know. But French House did kind of, at the beginning, have a little bit of a gay feel to it. I mean, electronic dance music has always been. So one of the things that I don't think is well understood by people outside of these big cities, but like especially New York. In New York, they've got two main clubbing centers. There's the East Village and the West Village. And the West Village is like hard rock cafes and stuff like that. And the East Village is more electronic dance music. And it basically turned into the East Village was the gay side and the West Village was the straight side. It's kind of what it turned into. So especially in electronic dance music, there were certain, it's not like this anymore, but there were certain genres that were really considered like straight up the, like the gay community genres. And French House, I think, kind of trended a little bit more that direction. Although it wasn't like straight up gay, but so they were together for a long time. Maybe they were. I don't know. And the other thing is, oh man, why am I talking about this stuff? I know too much stuff about electronic dance music. That's what the deal is. Like sometimes when I start reading online and then I think about all of the things that I know, or at least think I know about it, and I'm like, wow, there's a lot of information that's like not out there anymore. But one of the things, it is a thing in the so some people become gay when they're on drugs is the thing. so especially on ecstasy, because ecstasy makes you kind of affectionate and social, and so some people are just gay only when they're on ecstasy. So that's another part of it. Show us your rave. I don't have any rave moves, man. It would do it. If it wasn't for DMCA, I would just mix for you guys, but freaking DMCA is so stupid. I think that I should be able to, on YouTube, play any song that I want, and that if YouTube is making money from that a portion of those proceeds should go to the artist if they choose to monetize it, but they shouldn't be able to take a video down or completely demonetize or any. I hate that stuff. And depending on your use, I should be able to use 5 seconds of something that is what is the word? Fair use. That is like saying some people are redheaded or left-handed when they are on drugs. No, it's not. I'm sorry, but it's just not. To suggest that that sexual preference is entirely genetic, it does not have scientific founding. There was at one point some scientific discoveries that people had made where they championed them as that they proved that it was a genetic trait, but since then that has been called in very much into question, and I think that they understand very well that it's going to be a combination of factors that kind of predict whether somebody will be like that or not. But I'm just telling you, it is a thing in the electronic dance music community that there are some people, particularly guys, that are only gay when they're on ecstasy. Well, you say you don't control who you're attracted to, period. That's not a fact, first of all. But so here again, I would say, what empirical evidence do you have to suggest that that is the only factor? But there are people, I'm telling you, man, there are people that are 100% perfectly straight, and then when they're on ecstasy, it's like you're just there with people, and I don't know, you all have your shirts off and everything, and it's a weird thing to me. To me, it's weird, but it's a thing. It is totally a thing. Like it's an ongoing joke. I've seen it happen, man. That's not a fact. Sorry, but it has not been conclusively proven that your genetics are in control of your sexual preference. It's not. It's probably a combination of factors. From what I've seen, it is probably a combination of factors, but they clearly don't completely understand it yet. But that's not the point. That's not the point. There are people that are gay when they're on ecstasy. I'm telling you. Why does everything have to be empirical? You say not being aware of the information. I would not consider myself the foremost expert on empirical research about factors that increase the chances of you being gay. But I have seen quite a bit of data over the years, because I like to read a lot of studies and keep up on that sort of stuff, especially since my stepchildren, their father is gay, and they ask questions about it, so I look it up from time to time. And there's been research quite recently, actually, that suggests that it's not just genetics. So, yeah, I mean, ultimately, this was one of the things I always thought was kind of weird, was that, like, there was this, definitely at a time, there was this push for, like, that gay people or trans people are only that because of some sort of genetic predisposition. But then I'm like, I don't think that is an advantageous argument for you to make as like a group of people, to say that your in-group exists because of a genetic aberration or something is kind of like not a there's issues with taking that position. So I think that there's more to it than just the science. I think that there's also some politics to it as well, that they've said, well, we don't want to be considered like that we're sick or something, especially trans, right? Yeah. Why am I getting too in? Why did we start into that? Oh, because you asked me if Daft Punk were gay. If it isn't a choice, then why wouldn't it be genetic in nature? Well, how do you know that it's a choice? That's kind of my question. So let's try and keep it focused, because I don't want to go too far off the rails. So you would have to say, if we're going to keep it empirical, and this is a good issue to talk about it with it, because you have an issue that's controversial and that is not... I don't think that it's completely understood, right? So, when you're going back into trading, how do you sort out things when there's disagreements about things and it's something that's not well understood, and how do you make decisions, or where is the best way to mine and go through that kind of information? And that's where I would kind of point it towards, is that you have to sit back and look at, okay, what stuff do we know? What stuff do we know we know? And what things do we know we don't know? And then there's the things that we don't know that we don't know. And how do you account for those things when you discover the things that you don't know that you don't know? Right? So when it comes to homosexuality, we know that there are some chemical differences that people that are gay, well, gay men in particular, tend to have. Okay. But we don't 100% know what causes that. That could be like, cause and effect sort of a thing. Like correlation does not prove causation. So that's with that. I don't think that they've proven like a genetic connection there, right? So if it's not a genetic connection, now they've also shown, I think, these are kind of more tenuous, but there are some tenuous things that there are things about your environment that can affect it. Right? Oh, no, you should just ban him because that's Salim, right? You just get rid of him. I'll do it. Please. Salim. It's just Salim trying to argue with Ace. Trying to troll Ace. Anyways. I have to say so here's another thing is that we make choices that we aren't conscious of. I think that is a pretty well understood and proven thing in psychology, yeah? That you can have made unconscious decisions about things that like your unconscious mind has a predisposition towards one thing or another, and your conscious mind isn't really aware of it and makes up excuses as to why it is that way. Okay, so that's a thing too. And I think that is the extent of what we know, and what we know we don't know, right? But to the point, I can also say with 100% certainty that it is a thing within the electronic dance music community that there are some people, particularly men, that are only gay when they're on ecstasy. That is like a known thing. There are some people that when you're on ecstasy, that the oxytocin going in you, that you're willing to be intimate with anybody. We act and then our brains rationalize our actions. That happens a lot, yes. And what keeps you away from making those mistakes? Focusing on empirical evidence. What kind of empirical evidence do we have that suggests that it does this or that it doesn't do this? And then what do we know we don't know? So for instance, I can go in and somebody was asking me about my model, and I was like, can it be falsified? Well, a model can certainly be falsified, but if you go through and like you have a model and it has a certain historical efficacy, like it's a model, like there are certainly going to be things about the model that you can prove that it can't account for. So it's not really a question of is the model right or wrong? It's a question of how effective is it, right? So how effective is it right now? Well, it has a perfect record right now. If it went through and we went through like 5 cycles, then it would have a 50-50 record. But that would be like another 10 years worth of data, right? Before you would know that. So then how do you falsify it? Well, you could go into the central assumptions of the model and the model itself, and you could try and find particular things where the data doesn't support what the model says. Right? What wrong information did you miss? Oh man, I missed. I shouldn't have gone through that whole thing without you, huh? I would argue that the same effect probably. Actually, I think it might. No, but it is definitely a thing that some people, when they're on ecstasy, they're willing to be intimate with like anybody. That's just like what the drug does to you. Okay, well, silver was doing really good there and got above 19, but now they're finally pulling back. You still got to get above, like, what do we got to get above in silver? 28. Does intimacy indicate they are gay? Okay, so if you let another guy have butt sex with you, does that make you gay? So now you're changing the argument, right? Now you're changing the argument to what qualifies as somebody being gay or not. Is it that they just self-identify as gay? Is it certain particular behaviors? That goes into a argument about semantics that I am not particularly interested in having, because words are just words. This is a kind of topic that puts your channel at risk. It really is, right? That's why I changed it to the Bitcoin thing, right? So like, what do we know from the model? The model is intended to show when the market is overbought or oversold, right? But it can't predict the exact point at which it tops off. It can often go quite a bit beyond that overbought location. And it seems like the longer this goes, like every time they go a little bit further overbought every time, you know? Something less controversial like abortion, right? But there are going to be things about the model that we don't know about. So like, how do you account for those? Well, this is where I think like risk management in particular really comes in, right? It's a shitty morning, so we might as well get a good afternoon, right? Well, he's right. I don't want to say something that's like objectively inaccurate or offensive. But I'm always trying to keep it like empirical. That's where I was saying that like on that particular subject, the scientific evidence on like how much of it is a choice and so forth is not in 100% clear. And I think that a lot of people have come out and said that it's like a proven thing, and it's not. What happened was there was some studies that kind of showed some correlations in certain things, and everybody took that as proof. And then since then, the scientists have kind of come back and they said, well, it's not so clear cut. It can. Okay. Taking ecstasy can make some people engage in homosexual sex. Is that a more accurate thing to say? There are people that would not engage in homosexual acts, in homosexual sex otherwise, except for when they're on ecstasy. Yeah? So it's what he's really saying is that being gay is self-identification. So if they identify themselves, but then here's the other thing, dude, is that they will self-identify as gay when they're on E. Like that's the thing that's so weird about it. Is like if you're talking to them and they're completely sober, they're the most straight person you'd ever meet, and they think that all that stuff is gross and everything, but then like they admit and they know that like when they're on E, they get together with their bros and they do that stuff. Crashing in the Andes Mountains can make you a cannibal. Sure. Well, I think that just kind of shows you that there's more to it than just some genetic predisposition, right? But it's always in nuance, right? Like this, and this is the reason why I talk about these things is because I always want to come back to nuance. You have to realize people, for some reason, don't like nuance. You get what I mean? Nobody wants to hear that, okay, here are different factors that may influence whether you self-identify as being gay or not. And here are the things that we understand about it. And here are the things that we don't understand about it. And here's the studies. And here's where in this study, here's certain things about the studies and the results that they have that may impact the significance of the statistical results that they got from it. And here's another time that they did that study and they didn't get the same results. And you can dive into it, and any one of those one particular subjects, there's going to be a person that is an expert in that thing, and he could talk to you for a whole month about only that thing and the empirical evidence and what we know about that one particular thing. And guess what? Nobody's interested. Like humans, they hate that. Humans are built to just want to be in the in-group and like know the thing and it just be done. And like if you're the expert on it, you know the thing about it, and then that's good enough for me. And so they don't want to hear all of that stuff. They just want to hear being gay is their choice, and then you just run with that. Right. But the reality of the empirical evidence is that it's way more complicated, and we don't really know a whole lot about it yet. Right. Well, it's the same thing. It's the same thing in markets, is that people don't want to hear that what the liquidity is like at a location has an impact on the market that is of these kinds of qualities. And it doesn't necessarily give you a super strong probability that we're going to go up or down, but it just tells you things about what the market is doing that you can use to kind of justify that you can use to kind of improve your odds on the trades that you're already making and improve your execution. And, all of these they don't want to hear that. But what they want to hear is if you get a higher low, you should buy it. Right. And the problem with that, particularly as it applies to markets, is that when you just do the simple dogmatic thing, like everybody knows that and does that, and if it was true, it gets arbitraged out of the market. So how do you find an edge in that market? You have to go and actually get into the more nuanced view. You have to actually start going and reading like all of the empirical evidence that you have of that sort of thing. There have been so many studies about market microstructure that you can go and read and so forth. Like it's really just, there are people that's all they do is they study market microstructure. And then you come over into retail trading, and the majority of retail traders don't even know that this world exists. Don't even know that you could literally study every day just about market microstructure if you wanted. Like, what is this thing? Nuance. There's power in nuance, particularly in markets, because the thing that's going to give you the edge is the thing that everybody ignores. It's that one tiny little edge case that is there, but you wouldn't know if you hadn't read the study and really looked at it yourself and really said, like, And here's another good example. I can go in and I can look at a strategy and I can say, okay, like here's a strategy. And it's profitable, but it has this losing streak that's really bad, and it has a drawdown that's, was larger than the account that you do. And this is where it comes in, it bites people, right? Because all they care about was the amount of money that they made over it positive. But then they don't even sit back and think that, like that drawdown is too big for me to handle. My account isn't large enough to handle a drawdown of that kind. So like they blow the account, right? Oh, I didn't see who was saying. Salim trying really hard to derail the channel. If you live in a society, you always self-censor. Well, no, I just think that's not the way that I present it. I am not in favor of silencing people, and I'm not in favor of a society wherein people are afraid to say certain things because they're afraid that there will be retribution visited on them. Okay? But I'm also not in favor of a society where you talk about certain things just to piss people off. I mean, like, when it's something important and it does piss people off, then I absolutely love it. But only when it matters, right? That's why in this particular case, to me, it's something that, like, as a society, they already went through. Other people can continue to do the research. We don't have to talk about it. Yeah, controversial topics are fine. Just trying to upset people is annoying. Yeah, so it's like all that because of Daft Punk. Good grief. Listen, but here's the point. Here's the important point about all of that, okay? Daft Punk is one of the top 10 best electronic dance music artists of all time, and it is just crushing. It is an absolute shock. It is huge music news that they have broken up, and I am heartbroken and distraught. But also excited because if Thomas Bangalter goes out and does a different act or just starts putting stuff out on his own, I'm going to be super into it because that guy is a freaking genius. That man is a genius. Listening to Daft Punk. How will I put this? This doesn't apply to that in particular, but to a good number of, let's say, personal identification groups, not necessarily relating to your sexual orientation, but more related to who you hang out with. That you go to a rave and you will start hanging out with those people. And if you are not a person that already has a strong sense of self, I would not go to them. Because if you do not have a strong sense of self, they will drag you down paths that you do not want to go down. It ruins lives. Seriously. You know what, Keller, like, what you're saying, what some people might find really offensive, I actually think that it's a subject worth talking about, but that is like, then you're getting into like truly beyond what I would be comfortable talking about on this channel with about, so. That's you've found the line. I'm not comfortable talking about that. But I was talking more into like if you go to raves, people are going to pressure you to do drugs. It's well, not pressure you to do drugs, but they will offer it to you. Yeah, they will. And I've seen people that were really bright and intelligent people, and then they started the drugs, and it just ate their brains away, man. No, it's more complicated than that, though. Like, you know, like the majority of gay people do have kids, though. Like, you would think that it should be only like 1%. No, it's not. Like I actually think that it may be a slight majority that have had kids and then left that marriage and then started self-identifying as gay. Seriously. Uzi, why does claiming that homosexuality is a choice come with a negative connotation? That's a good question, Uzi. I think that that's just because that's what they think. I think that it comes with a negative connotation because they personally don't believe that it is a choice. Even though I think you're right. If it was a choice, what would necessarily be wrong about if it was a choice? And I think that oh man. I think that given the correct motivation, I could probably convince myself to be anything. I think that people underestimate the power of the human mind. You could convince yourself that you're a rock if that's really what you wanted to believe. That doesn't explain where that comes from still though. I don't think we understand why we choose a lot of things that we do though, Ace. It's just like I was saying, like we make unconscious decisions all the time. So I'm noticing pretty good pressure here in the book, and this 76 area is kind of holding still, and my robot has scalped in this area many times now, and is now oh, actually he must have lost one. He must have lost another one. Let's go. Where is the strategy performance real time? He is 10 for 12. 85% win rate. That's where we want to be. Notice though, all of his longs won, and the two losers were in shorts. So that kind of suggests to me that the market does prefer the long side right now. It's just they don't really truly have control. Now, it wouldn't be the first time that we've had where it's kind of struggled throughout the morning, and then after the London session close happens and later in the day, then the real selling starts. That's happened before too. So here's another thought. You ever heard this? So one of these, it's kind of funny because I kind of disagree on this point. Because some people will say, you want to have a winning mentality. So to come in and say that I am this way, or that this thing happened because of some external factor, is not the winning attitude. And they believe that you should just always take the responsibility for everything. So the extreme version of that philosophy would come in and say that you would say that it was your choice. But they say that in trading because they say, if you come in with the mentality that you're going to be a winner and that you're going to make winning trades, then that will come out in your trading. But the reality is that if the strategy that you're trading sucks, then the strategy that you're trading sucks. Like, I you know what? Actually, putting that Bitcoin was in the title seems to have hurt the channel today. Humans don't choose their beliefs or circumstances, then what determines it? So you believe that everything that you do is determined by external factors, whether it's your genes or your environment, and you think that everything about you is determined by that? Or that free will isn't really necessarily a thing, that our decisions are all just probabilities? Now you're getting into things that science simply can't explain. That our current understanding of science just doesn't My friend likes fat girls, trying to wrap my mind around that. How could this move my... We can't choose to change our beliefs without something convincing us? I don't no, I don't agree with you. I think that in fact the majority of time that people change their beliefs because they want to, and that the evidence is not really very effective at changing their minds. Because everything that I've gone through in my life is, here's everything that you can show about that thing, and it doesn't matter what you tell them, it's not going to change their mind. Yeah, okay. I'm listening. I'm already like, okay, he's gonna say something here that I'm not gonna like. Okay. Why the church office? Can we just go to? Okay, I thought you were talking something local issue. I was like, what? Okay, you throw me off of a tall building. Okay, and. Oh, wait, what happened here? Did it change because it took a trade there? Yeah, it did. Okay. I was like, what? No, it was still profitable on the short, right? Well, it's taking it. Looks like it might be taking one here. Okay, on the way down, wouldn't it be great to think you can fly? Can you convince yourself that you can fly? It's possible that there might be one person in the world that when they are falling from a building, that halfway through the flight, they convince themselves that they can fly. Of course, they'll be wrong, but yes, I probably would not, but there might be a subset of people that might. Can you convince yourself that you can fly? If I wanted to, I could. So like as if, for an example, I'm really into a particular person, and then that particular person decides to go a different direction, and then I can convince myself that I'm not really into that person anymore. Yeah. I've done that before. Like I've seen, well, maybe not to that extent, but I've seen my friends like really like psychotherapy themselves into not liking that person. I'll tell you what, if I'm ever into that situation, I will convince myself that I can fly. I mean, it wouldn't really matter at that point, right? So only if I'm in that situation, I will try it, and in the next life, I will tell you how it went. All right. I don't think that I'm going to die from falling from a high heights, so I don't think that that's ever going to come into a thing, though. Fortunately. Unfortunately, as I say, unfortunately. You have recurring dreams of flying, huh? Well, the range in Bitcoin has definitely chilled out, hasn't it? You think you can convince yourself? I think I can, yes. Let me explain it this way. You can there are known ways within psychology to change beliefs, to consciously change your own belief. because you find that even though you believe that thing at that time, you know that belief is ultimately harmful to your success in a particular area of life. And so you can change that belief. That's a thing. It's not just a thing, it's like a thing that's used commonly in trading, because there are certain beliefs that people have, like, for instance, the belief that making money is bad, that are going to be harmful to trading, and you can, like, consciously eliminate. And it's not even about providing yourself with the evidence of proving it one way or another. It's a matter of changing the belief, because that's what's effective. Well, I didn't say that I couldn't. I said that I probably wouldn't. I didn't say that I couldn't change my mind. I said I wouldn't. You understand the key difference? So if I was falling, I am not the kind of person that would think that sort of thing. Okay? But there are some people that might. Or like let's put it this way. Say you're being tortured. You've been captured by the enemy and you're being tortured. And they want you to believe that, America is the great devil and the evil people and all of that sort of a thing. And do people that are in those situations believe what their captors are, trying to convince them and allow themselves to be brainwashed? It happens. Or it has happened to some extent, right? Would that be a pertinent counterexample to what you're trying to say? I'm not saying you wouldn't try to flap. I'm saying just before I toss you off, you're screaming and fighting because why? Because you know you can't fly? Yeah, Stockholm syndrome. Well, but the you're saying that you can't change your beliefs. And I'm saying actually you very much can. Right? So the thing though is that the process that I'm talking about is like a conscious decision. So the question is, why would you make that conscious decision to believe something, especially if it's something that you believe is like empirically not true, that you can fly? Like, that's empirically not true, right? That can be falsified at this moment, and I'm not going to believe something that it has no positive evidence for and can be easily be falsified and that would result in your death, right? But if I had a reason to believe that because I thought it would be beneficial to me, I could. I think that your counter. So furthermore, I would go down this road. You're making a scarecrow. This is a scarecrow logical fallacy. You're trying to compare having a belief about yourself or what you think about yourself, and you're trying to compare that to committing suicide. It's a ridiculous comparison. Okay. You can come in and you can make a decision about yourself to say, I am this kind of person, or I want to be this kind of a person. And you can consciously make those decisions and change into believing and becoming that person if you make a conscious effort to do that. And there is a great deal of evidence on a good many things that suggests that you can do that. And I've spoken to many people that they had beliefs about their themselves in terms of their success, like that they weren't a successful person or that they weren't going to be a successful person, that for whatever reason, I don't know why they had that, and they made the conscious decision to change that and say that they were going to be a winner, right? But there's limitations to that, right? Because you can come in and say, oh, I'm going to become a millionaire, but like becoming a millionaire is hard and you might never do it. I am talking about personality changes. You're talking about beliefs. So you're talking about you can't change a belief that would, a belief that like actively prevents you from killing yourself is different from a belief that as far as you can tell doesn't really actively directly change anything, at least not in the short time. You're talking about a change that over the long term, it can completely change the direction of your life, and maybe later you'll see it. But in the moment that you make that decision, you have absolutely no clue what the consequences are. Whereas your belief that you can fly, you already know that the consequence of that is that you're going to die. That's a completely different sort of set of circumstances. But to say that you wouldn't do that doesn't mean that you couldn't. Still, are there people that have believed that they can fly in the past? There are. Why do you think that those people believe that? Because it sounds to me like you're saying that the people that believe that they can fly believe that they can fly because of some genetic predisposition or environmental factor that convinced them of that. You don't know. I don't care about the ones, but you're saying you're not talking about changing your personality. But what is your thesis here? Because my understanding of your thesis is that the decisions that people are going to make are already predetermined based on, certain number of factors of which we may not know all of them. I'm saying you can't switch your beliefs like that, but haven't you ever in the moment changed a belief about something? I mean, surely you did change your mind about something. Like you know the something that I'm talking about. Well, that was probably a long process, probably, wasn't it? My point is that humans are convinced, well, on some things. Yeah, okay. So if to your point, humans are convinced that something is true or likely true for reasons, I would say humans sometimes are convinced that something is true or not true for reasons. But sometimes people are convinced of things for no real reason. And I don't think that there is any real reasonable explanation for why they believe what they believe. And what is so perplexing about it is that we can't figure out why they believe what they do. And we can't figure out what you could possibly do to change their mind, because it almost doesn't matter what evidence you present to them. They continue to believe the thing that they do. And you can't even go into why they think that thing. Because you could go and you could show them like literally all of the evidence for it, and they still choose to disagree. Like if there could be a person out there that believes that that people can fly and that they can fly. And you can come and you can show them all of the evidence. All of the people that have fallen from great heights and died from it. Right? And then that person that would believe that particular thing, I'm going to bet you I would put good money on it that if you found that person, that you could present to them all of the evidence that people can't fly, and even show them, even push them off of a cliff and watch them not fly, but then unbeknownst to them, save them before they fall, before they die. And then at the end, they would still come up with some excuse or explanation for how the thing that they believe is still true. And I mean, I've seen that from so many things, So I'm kind of looking at Jay here. He's actually taking a lot of trades. And, oh, you know what? We're past time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to disable this strategy. And, oh man, Brandon just was awful today. A range-bound day, I guess that's where you would expect him to do poorly. And then on this particular one, I will just close the position. Okay. So to that one, didn't necessarily result in a loser today. So it was still only 2 losers out of 15, which results in an 85% win rate. It's pretty good. Of course, you don't get a whole lot to show for it because your losers are so big. But I'm going to have to run this a bunch of different ways because it's kind of like maybe you could get away with it being equal risk reward too. I mean, when I tested it, equal risk reward worked. I agree with that, but there are reasons at the court. Well, I don't know. Maybe there are, but I can't explain why people believe the things that they do most of the time. Really can't. No, I don't think that the argument, I was quite enjoyed by it. Was a little, I think I'm still a little, I think that this is something that you should go back and think about a little bit, and you'll probably come up with a better way to explain your thesis. Because I even though I'm kind of like pretty sure that I disagree with what you're saying, I also don't feel like I understand it very well. And I guess another thing that I should state is that, well, if I go in and I say, like, you have a belief about yourself, like, or not about yourself, but about the world or whatever it is, it could be any of those things, like you're a successful person or whatever it is, right? Can you convince yourself? Are there ways through psychology to change that belief about yourself or the world? Yes, there are. Is that always the correct course of action? Not necessarily. And there maybe are some beliefs that you have about yourself that you really shouldn't change, right? So. No, well, maybe. I bet you probably agree, but I don't know. Because you have to go back to the thing that he's trying to convince me of. That we're kind of talking around, but. You say short's unfolding? Well, he was trying to go short, but I think that last one was gonna be a loser. So, whatever. I'm talking about beliefs about the facts. But I'm talking about beliefs about the facts of the universe too. You know, like for instance, like I said, a belief about society, right? Or a belief about empirical reality can happen too, but. Well, that's when you get into like obviously. So here's the thing: is that the things that people are going to be the most resistant to, or rather the ideas that people are going to be the most resistant to, are when those ideas contradict their group in values, right? So part of the reason why it's so hard to convince people that their technical analysis doesn't work is because it gives them a belief about themselves, that they're a technical trader and they're trading just off of the market, and you belong to this group of, people that are involved in the markets that, are more than other people and understand the markets better than other people. And if you come in and show them that that's not true, then that is a direct threat to the way that they've identified themselves. And those are the kinds of beliefs that are the most difficult to get people to change, right? Even if the thing that they believe is objectively, empirically false. And it seems to me that that can happen outside of that. But I believe that the reason why humans behave that way is because we've evolved that way, because that in-group solidarity mattered more to their survival than the truth. Anyways, I got to get going. I got a meeting in 5 minutes, so it was a fun talk. I did think that there was some application to trading, so... I will catch you guys tomorrow. In the meantime, stay profitable.